Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cheat Codes. Today, we are diving into a topic that is so important for creating a truly memorable game writing. So, it's a field that is both a creative art and a technical skill. And I am so excited to have a writer on the show who brings so much experience to this conversation. Please welcome Mayanna Berrin.
Hey, it's so nice to meet you. Thank you so much
For,
for having me.
Thank you. And for people who are not familiar with your work, can you share a bit about who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. So currently, I am a writer at Ad Hoc Studio, which is an independent gaming studio. It was founded by some folks from Telltale and Night School. And we're about to launch, or depending on when this releases, we'll have launched the first couple episodes of Dispatch, which is our first game. Before that, I come from writing for animation. I was a Nickelodeon fellowship writer. I worked on a couple shows. I did some freelance for Baby Shark and a new show just that released earlier this year called Wild Pack. And then even before that, I worked in creative development at Mattel. So I did some, development and narrative work there, in addition to writing scripts for CG animated series for Polly Pocket and Monster High and Disney Princess and Frozen. So been all the new media.
I love that. All those things that I've watched and realized there is not a child around me. And
Not even,
I
yeah,
am
there you
watching
go.
by myself.
I wish I worked on the movie. I worked on like two dolls of Elsa and Anna are on an ice cream adventure. But you know what? It's experience nonetheless.
It is.
I'll
It
take
is.
it.
So you mentioned that you've been written for animation and comedy writing. So how do you
Mhm.
find those skills translate to video games?
Oh my God. Great question. I think it's one thing that's super interesting is, at least for the majority of the writing that I did on Dispatch, I was writing in a spreadsheet because we were writing like lines that needed to be plugged in for specific gameplay sequences. I come from, more traditional like screenplay writing, and Dispatch has both. So like the cinematic parts of the game were written in screenplay format, and then more dialogue or gameplay focused writing was written in sheets. So I think having that background, especially from the dialogue standpoint, was super helpful, because one of the things, especially for animation, is with kid shows, the rule I think is like action, line, action. You don't want to have just two people standing next to each other having a conversation, because that's boring, for kids. So the lines need to be both like funny but also very efficient for storytelling, because you got to keep it moving, and you got to get the action in there, because also animation, it's a very like movement forward medium. Like, yeah, you can have, again, two people standing talking and it looks great, but like where animation really shines is in all of the cool things that you can do, all of the things that you can conjure that would be a little bit more expensive or technically difficult in live action. So yeah, finding the way to be efficient with how characters speak, I think, was definitely a big skill that helped translate for me.
Oh, that makes sense. You've
Mm-hmm.
also done work for tabletop role playing games and as a
Mm-hmm.
voice actor.
Mm-hmm.
So, how is your experience with these like collaborative and improvisational forms of storytelling? How have they influenced your game writing?
Oh my gosh, thank you. That's another great question. I think one of the things that's super important to know, especially for games, is like there's so many people working on, different aspects of the game at different times. So I think the improv, and especially the TTRPG stuff, is helpful because it taught me about how to collaborate well with lots of different perspectives. Because one of the things that I love about TTRPGs, especially, is it's not just any one person's story. Like, if you're the dungeon master, you're facilitating the story, but it's going to be influenced by the perspectives and the choices of other people, the rest of the party. And I think when you're working on a game, it's very similar. It's like you're not like writing in a vacuum. Like, you might write something and then the next day it's like, hey, we're adding a new feature to the game and this line doesn't make sense for that. And or it's like you're constantly in communication with like, okay, how can I best support both what we're doing from a gameplay standpoint, what we're doing from a storytelling standpoint, and how do I like create some dialogue or create some narrative tissue that can help fill those gaps together. So it's good. Improv is a great skill set for everybody. I think everybody should
Yes.
take an improv class, because the thing that you learn very early, especially like it's all okay. There's no rules. Like, yes, there's yes and all these things, but like you learn techniques to be able to kind of throw them away and go like, I'm engaging with another person, and no matter what happens, as long as we lock in with each other and we're trying to support each other, it's going to be okay, and we're going to tell a cool story together.
I know we were talking about my daughter before we started
Mm-hmm.
recording, but we were in the car on the way home and she says, "People don't know how to do improv and that's
They don't.
sad." And I
It's
was
so
like,
sad.
I was trying to explain to her. I said, "Not everyone has that type of experience." I said, "Yes, I say things for razzle dazzle." But not everyone
Love the razzle. No,
has.
I think we should. I man, this is gonna, especially with the state of the education system. Like, we should be teaching improv to high school
Yes.
kids. Like, it's such a freeing uh thing to learn that like it's gonna be okay. That like you can say things and you don't need to be afraid. You know that you just jump in, like jump in, be playful, be curious, and yeah, it's gonna be fine. Everyone's so afraid of
Yes.
like saying the wrong thing or like looking silly, and I think improv's really good for helping you
It
shape that,
is.
which is
It
nice.
really I get very nervous. I don't like the obligatory Trader Joe's cashier conversations.
It's so painful.
I do not
It's
like it.
so
It
painful.
it sucks the life out of me. So what I
I
started doing is just saying things. So I'll just say like
Oh, that's brilliant.
just random things and just watch the auto and I'm sorry. One day I'm gonna get banned. One day they're gonna say you can't come here
No,
anymore.
no, they're gonna be like, "Here she is, the storyteller." Who will
Can't
she
help
be
it.
today?
I'm happy because now I have something to look forward to.
There you go, exactly, yeah, every time I get up there, I'm like, "Oh, boy, here we go."
Yeah. Except Bob. Bob is an older gentleman and he is a precious gem and I will
No.
never do that to Bob. But
Papa.
anyone else, they got it. They got it coming.
They can handle it. They have
They
the
can handle it.
capacity.
Yes. So my background is also in stand-up comedy and I've
Oh my god.
always been so curious about the difference between writing a monologue for stage or writing a set for stage and
Mm,
writing dialogue for a game. So
mm.
what's the difference between writing for like a live immediate audience experience rather than
My
writing for
god.
like an interactive experience?
Great question. I think the biggest one for me, I think about this thing that Chris Rock said when he was premiering Top 5, which was a movie that he wrote and directed, which is like when you write a joke for stand up, you go out that night and you know if it's funny or not. When you
Yes.
write a joke for a movie, it's like 18 months before you know if it was funny or not. And I feel it's the same thing like with games that like especially with Dispatch, which is a comedy, it's a comedy game. Like there's dramatic moments and there's like intense stuff, but it's predominantly a workplace comedy. And like you really don't want like a thing you might think is funny today, like a meme or like something in the news or whatever. It's not going to be funny in a year when
True.
the game comes out. So you have to kind of find these like evergreen areas instead, or you take like the observational nature of stand up but you put it inside of the context of the characters. And like there's a joke, I didn't write it, but there's a joke in episode 2, and it's in the demo, so people have seen it, and I read all the YouTube comments about it, which is one of the characters is an older black gentleman and he looks a lot like Albert Einstein. And literally the first thing Robert says to him is like, why do you look like Albert Einstein? And all of the comments were like, oh my god, I thought he looked like Einstein too, like da, da, da. Like the honesty that you can take from stand up, I think you can bring to games, but it you have to remain within the context of things that are going to resonate within the world of that game, rather than just like, I think this could be funny, like let me see if it works. It's like, we don't know, we gotta test it out, we gotta see if it's gonna be okay, and last multiple rounds of people playing the game and hearing the joke over and over again to the best of our ability.
I know when this was a long time ago,
Mm-hmm.
before the pandemic, I actually was relieved when the pandemic made me stop going out because it
Yeah, me too.
wasn't the stand up that was doing it. It was the everything you have to do to keep in the business.
Yeah, huh?
That
It's a
wasn't my
grind.
ministry. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. I think about this a lot with like, I've got friends in the sketch comedy kind of realm. I've got friends in the stand-up comedy kind of realm. I've got friends who do D&D actual play. I've got like everybody kind of finds their hamster wheel. and some hamster wheels yield better results. But it's just like once you're in a wheel, you're like, okay, I just got to keep going on the wheel. And then you're like, what if you stopped? What if you
Yes.
stopped the wheel?
And I was already at that what if I and kudos to everyone who kept going.
Yeah, props
I
to
love
them.
that. I realized who I was in that
Mm-hmm.
moment.
You're like, oh, I don't have to. Stand up was one for me that I was like, I think I'm good.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't want to be out late. I don't want to be like, maybe I won't even go up. There was a mic near my old apartment that it was, I think, a 2-hour mic or a 3-hour mic even, and everybody's name was in a bucket, and so you didn't know
And you
what
just wait.
time. Yeah, you just wait, and there were multiple nights where we were like last or second to last, and I'd be like, oh my god, I'm so tired.
I
Yeah.
know I didn't have it in me. I think
No.
one time I had to set the start at 11:40,
Oh my god.
and I was like, "Are you
Who's
serious?"
awake to watch the jokes? That's the part. I'm like, the
Not
only
me.
other people here are comedians. Like, the only other
Yes.
people here are the other
And they're not gonna
comedians.
laugh. They're
They're
just
not,
gonna do
they're
this.
exhausted. Or they're looking at their set. You can't.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my god.
It's a wild time. It's a wild time.
But props to the people who still do it, because I
Yes.
like, it is so hard, and it is such a unique, weird grind. And we comedians are great. And yeah, if you can swing it, awesome. Just I'm not strong enough.
Also, my curse is if something's funny, I'm going to laugh. Even if like
Yeah.
if I'm at an open mic night, I'm the only person laughing.
That I've noticed too. Well, that it was funny. I remember I went to a mic and there were like 4 people in the audience, and I brought me and my female friend, and we were laughing, and the host came out, and he was a man, and he goes, "Thank God there's women here, man, because like he's like, you guys are carrying the show right now. Like, thank God you're bringing your
Yeah.
light and joy to this house." Uh is it gay to laugh? We don't know,
We
maybe
don't know. We don't know.
maybe
I don't
maybe
think
that's
we're
what they're afraid
supposed
of.
to. I think I've single-handedly ruined the industry
With your joy and your
with my
jubilant
joy.
expressions. Heaven forbid we laugh at a comedy show.
It was one point where people would go, "Thanks, TaSh," and I'm like, "Oh,
Aw,
oh,
that's
no,
sweet.
oh." But
That
now
is
I'm
so
embarrassed.
embarrassing, but also that's very wholesome. I love that.
Yeah.
But hey, like, that's the curse is, oh, heaven forbid you like find something funny and you respond to it. The
Yes,
thing you're
because that's
supposed
why
to
we're
do.
doing it, for feedback.
Exactly. My curse was if no one was laughing, sometimes I would laugh because the silence would make me crazy.
Yeah.
And so I'd be like, ha 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 ha. Just like anything to fill this deafening silence.
Oh,
Uh,
felt.
yep,
So to bring it back to video game writing,
please.
it's a collaborative process. So you get to work with designers, artists, other team members. So what's a common misconception about the game writer's role,
Oh,
and like how you work to bring the story to life?
man, common misconception. I think it's like when you write for animation or like other things, you do a draft, and then you do another draft, and then you do a third draft, and maybe you do a fourth draft, and then you're done. But but I think with games writing, game development is so iterative, and it's so fluid. It's one of the most fluid types of production processes I've ever seen, because you can change things day to day. Like, you can bring out assets or replace assets, or like you can just like swapping in stuff constantly. So you might write a whole bunch of stuff, and then it's like, okay, cool, that worked great, actually no, we need new stuff, and you're like, okay, cool, I'm writing new stuff now. Or like, okay, this line didn't work, or like, oh, this character's design changed, so now that part of their hair is different, so that comment about their hair doesn't make sense anymore. And so it's a lot of like, every day is new, and every day you're going to have new kind of things that you are seeing, and you just have to be flexible, and you have to stay in constant communication with your team. I think like it's just like constant conversation, just to keep everybody in check on what's happening.
And there are a lot of people who are really taking this time, especially people are in transition right now. So people
Mhm.
are really taking it upon themselves to kind of make that idea, make that game that they've been dreaming of that whole time.
Yeah.
If For instance, if it's me and I'm starting out, I don't have a
Mm.
writer, it's just me. What are some tips you could give me as a solo dev for
Ooh,
writing tips if I'm making a game?
oh man. First of all, props to the solo devs. We love the
Yes.
solo devs. I think one, if you're an indie developer and you're solo dev, don't don't let the scope creep win.
Mhm.
First and foremost, like I think, like Undertale and Stardew Valley and like those games are amazing, and but they're huge
Yeah.
in certain ways, especially like Undertale having like basically like two endings and two whole different ways that the story can go. But I think like for the writing side of it, I think like weirdly the specific is better. Like be specific. Like one of my favorite indie games, and I don't think it's a solo dev game, but I really like Going Under, which is a game about a gal who works at like a failing tech startup company, and she has to go to these other failing tech startup companies. They're all like fantastical. So like one's run by goblins and one's run by skeletons, but like every character has a unique sort of like text based style of talking, and it's so specific and it's so fun, and like you just remember every character so distinctly even though there's no VO, because they have like unique little sound effects or like unique colors or just unique ways of speaking that feel in line with all of it's sort of a corporate commentary, so it feels in line with like how you talk to somebody on Slack type of deal. So I think it's like if you're a solo dev and you're trying to tell a story, like especially for your first game, I think stick to something that is really familiar to you. Like they say, from writing, it's like write what you know. It's like don't literally write your biography,
Right.
but like find the things that come from your specific life, your unique experiences, especially if as a solo dev, it's like your your singular POV. Like, really lean into that and trust in that like your voice will resonate with people. Don't try to like make a game for everyone, like, yeah.
Make your game.
Yeah.
I like that.
And like
What
write it your way. Like
yeah.
write it the best way that only you can write it.
When I love narrative-based games, I ended up playing a game called, and I say it wrong every time, Dogne,
Oh.
Dordogne,
Oh, I've
and
never heard of it.
it is a watercolor game, and it is a
Ooh.
narrative based, and it is beautiful. It's story led. I love that, and the world feels so unique to itself.
Mm.
But then also I like first person shooter game. Like I
There
did
you go.
just I
Yeah,
like
that's what I love about
everything.
games too, is like, I mean, every medium has the things that it can do, uniquely that only that medium can do. But like I think especially with games, like the fact that you not only have genre and you not only have aesthetic, but you also have like gameplay style, like how the player interacts with the world and what the designer wants the player to feel or how they want the player to interact with the world is the unique thing that only games can do. And it's so cool that you can have, a game made by a single person that's got like talking skeletons and a weird little dog self-insert character, and then you have like massive war shooters with helicopters and like particle physics and like all this kind of stuff. It's like it's so inspiring that games can encapsulate so many different single like player experiences.
Are those the things you also think of? You think of gameplay style when you're writing?
Ooh, I mean, well, what's interesting is like, for my role, I'm not responsible for the decision making that goes into like what kind of game it is. But I think for me, like with Dispatch, I joined pretty late in the development process. And the big thing that they were trying to figure out from a writing standpoint was like, we have these sequences where Robert is literally at a computer dispatching the different heroes. And they felt, like the gameplay is so fun, like, sending people out and like figuring out who's right for the job and different stuff like that. But there was this like keeping the characters alive piece that was missing. I remember I watched a TED talk years ago about puppetry, and it was the puppet designers for Warhorse. And one of the things they said about puppets is like an actor on stage struggles to die, but a puppet on stage struggles to live. And there's all these little tricks that you can do with puppets to make them feel more alive, like ears twitching or like little movements that they do. And I think with gameplay, it's like the characters, there's this optimal sort of level of like that they're talking to each other or they're doing different things, or like idle animations to make the
Right.
characters feel like they're still alive creatures. And so my job was to try and create like enough banter and conversation between the heroes during those the dispatch sequences that made them feel like they're still active and they're still like alive, even when you're doing other things on the screen and you feel like you're in the headset hearing people talk. It was really cool.
Right. It's interesting that you said you kind of joined late in the process. How do you jump into a voice that's not your own, essentially?
Man, a lot of meetings, lots of meetings, a lot of trial and error. I think like I it was, I mean, yeah, it was definitely a deep end kind of hop where it was just like, all right, here are the characters, here's who they are. Some of them hadn't been cast yet, so that was a really interesting thing of like, this guy could be played by a bunch of different people. And so there was one character who got cast very late in the process. And so it was like, maybe he sounds like this. And then when we cast the actor, I was like, oh, I'm going to throw all that out and like totally rewrite it to like better support this kind of unique voice that this person has. And yeah, so jumping late in the process, it's like you're very activated and you got to ask a lot of questions, and you can't be precious about anything, and you also can't take it too personally where it's like that's not working and it's like, oh my god, like what do you mean it's not working? And it's like, no, it's just like you got to listen, you got to figure out what everyone else is kind of focused on and try to figure out how to best slot into that and best support the train that's already very much on the tracks.
When you mention idle animation, I can't help but think about Crash Bandicoot.
Oh my
How
god,
like
one of the
the
best.
most unrealistic idle animation, but like,
But you
but
remember it.
I remember it and I loved it so much.
Absolutely. And that's the other thing I love about games is like, I mean, and you know, animation does the same thing, but like you can have these characters who just, of course, that would never make sense. Like, also, like, why is jumping the way that we solve all our problems? But you know
Sure.
what? It's fun. So don't,
It is.
you know, it's a good time. Let the bear and the bird fly around and find puzzle pieces. It'll be
Let's
fine.
let's jump a little bit. I like it.
A
I
little
like it.
jumpy, little double jumpy, even.
A
Have
little
two
double
jumps
jump.
for free.
Yeah, yeah. Because if you jump a second time, you jump higher.
Exactly, which makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite part. I love just like, I'm gonna just
I think that's one of the most beautiful things about this version of storytelling and world creation is because, I mean, I'll go back to suspension of disbelief because we're
Mhm.
creating something that is purely out of imagination, and anything that comes out of animation comes out of joy for me.
Oh my
Even
god,
if
yeah.
it's like a horror, even if every type of thing from imagination is born of joy. And
Yeah.
I think it's just, it's awesome to world build.
Absolutely. I feel like, and also game design especially feels like such a particularly human like endeavor of like, I made a little game for you to play and I hope you enjoy it. Like, don't know, the little goblins in my brain told me to make it. Here you go, enjoy the little game that I made.
Yes.
It's got a dragon in it, and you're like, ooh,
Oh, a dragon.
hell yeah. And a princess, you're like, yeah. And this fish that can talk, you're like, I don't know what that part has to do with, but awesome. I can't wait.
But I like it. But
And
I
the
like
fish can
it.
do double jump. And you're like, what's that mean?
Yes. You're like, just wait. Just
It's
wait.
just you wait.
Just you wait.
Physics students are quaking.
I like it. Because it's true to itself. Every game has its own physics. Every game has its own lore, and that's what makes it beautiful.
And a beautiful aesthetic. Like, there's so many, it's such a wide open field. It's very inspiring. I'm very, very grateful to be a part of it. I've wanted to work in games since I was like 11 years old, and I'm not good at math. And I remember I think I was like meeting with like a college advisory person or whatever, and they're like, well, if you can't do math, you can't work in games. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll go do something else with my life then.
I feel like that's what I thought my whole life. And then also because of the extreme level of gatekeeping with
Yeah.
gamers, I was very hesitant to even call myself a gamer.
Yeah.
And that was something that I had to kind of reconcile because I figure if I can get visibility and saying I'm a gamer and I love games, then there are other people who look like me, who feel like me, who are
Mm.
just waiting for that okay. And I think
Yeah.
it's kind of like a responsibility
Yes.
for us to change the nature of the game.
100%. And it's not easy.
No.
And there are people who get mad that, that there's folks who look like us or who are trans or non-binary or queer who are like in this space. And it's just like, I don't know what to tell you. It's a unifying art medium. Like
Right.
we could all kumbaya together. We could all
Yeah.
double jump together.
Like I am slaying a dragon. Do you really think
This is just everybody loves this.
Yes.
Everybody can find a game they love in the same way everybody can find a book they love or a movie they love or a comic
Yes.
book that they love. And yeah, just I don't understand it. I get that people are afraid of like, this is my thing that defines who I am, and I don't want other people to take it and make it different. And it's like, I mean, different is good. And also, like,
Yes.
just because things are different doesn't mean the things you like about games go away necessarily
That
either.
is true. And I've been behind the scenes a lot lately, managing different brand accounts for different IPs, and
Cool.
it is very the commentary is scary, and I
Mm,
realize as the world feels more out of control,
yeah.
when it comes to things that people love and when it comes to fandom, that's one thing that they feel like they may have some control over.
Yeah.
So they make their world
They put a lot of
smaller.
pressure on it.
And then
Yeah.
they become not nice. And that's the thing where I'm like, okay, I understand the world feels like a big scary place, and this feels like your one thing, but you can't be mean about it because this is someone else's thing too.
100%. Unless it's like a fan fiction you made that's just for
Right.
you
It's
that
just for
got
you.
leaked somehow. Like,
Yes.
games are made to unite people and games are made to resonate with as many people as possible. And
Yes.
if a game resonates with you, I think it's a joyful experience to be like, oh, and someone else had a resonant experience with this as well. Like, that's a fun thing to share in.
Yeah.
And I think to your point, yeah, like as the world gets scarier, I think people feel this need to kind of like hold on to their, I don't know, like hold on to their safe space. But it's like if you share that space, like it might make
Right.
your life better. I don't know.
It's true. It's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
But you know,
We sh- we continue
we
as
continue.
as Expedition 33 says.
I want to thank you so much for sharing your insight and your thoughts with us today. It has been such a great conversation. I love talking about writing. I love video games, and you have been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me. This was delightful.
So, for our listeners who want to keep up with your work, where can they find you and your projects?
Absolutely. I'm Mayanna Berrin on Instagram. I'm Mayanna Berrin also on Blue Sky. I think I'm BE Mayanna on X. I was too lazy to delete it. I'm not on there very much, but you can find me on there if you want. You can also find me on Story Quest, which is my Dungeons and Dragons actual play show, which is a very fun time. We're telling fun stories over there. But yeah, that's me. And then
I love
Play
that.
Dispatch. It's on Steam and PS5, hopefully by the time this comes out. And I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you laugh a lot, and I hope you tell your friends about it.
Thank you so much for tuning into Cheat Codes. To stay in the know, Women in Games International, please visit us at getwiggy.com and subscribe to our newsletter. And you can find us on all the social media apps at GetWiggy. Take care, and we will chat soon.